Hi everyone. We are now going to get ready for our second event, a second speaker of the night. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Joe.
So Sarah's making her way here. It's a really far way to come. It's great we can all be connected together, but I do hope we can meet up in person.
We will. It's not quite the same as a pub, is it? But
Not really.
right, Sarah.
Tim was saying it's not quite the same as a pub. I was saying you're just coming up to the stage.
I've normally
had to make sure I had my bubbles.
Excellent.
This is non-alcoholic, everybody. Do not panic.
It's fine. You're entitled to have whatever you like to drink. Hopefully we can have this in person soon. And I'll leave over to Tim to the introductions, but just to let you know, they'll kick us out at 7, the platform. So we will have Q&A afterwards, and we will have some networking. So where is this pub thing you speak of, Tim? It's in a history book, Pierre. I'll pass it over to Tim to do the intros.
Awesome. So next up tonight we have Sarah, who is a paid media specialist at RedBrain. RedBrain, a Google comparison shopping partner. Sarah has over 10 years experience running pay-per-click campaigns, analysing data and busting PPC jargon. She is, by her own admission, a massive pay-per-click data nerd. And Sarah's talk is getting started with Google Shopping, a crash course on how to set up your Google Shopping campaigns and Google Merchant Center for success. So over to you, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. So whilst I try and set my screen up, share. There we go. So yes, hi, I'm Sarah. Like Tim said, I'm a senior PPC traffic manager at RedBrain, who are a Google comparison shopping partner. And because I like to start things with an icebreaker, here's 3 things about me. Yes, I'm a PPC and data nerd. Yes, I am a Ravenclaw. And number 3 is I've got 2 attention-seeking cats, and now the camera's on me. They're probably going to start and come and try to steal my limelight. So let's wait for that to happen. So we're going to just talk about getting started with Google Shopping. 10 minutes isn't really long enough to go into the whole ins and outs of it, but hopefully this will give you a good basics to start with. So why Google Shopping? So I suggest Google Shopping to e-commerce stores pretty much straight out of the box, like the second they start talking about PPC, because it's not the easiest kind of campaign to set up, because you've got to get the feed and everything ready, but it is kind of the easiest one to get going with, because you don't need to do copious amounts of keyword research or making creatives that work for you, because Google do all that for you. And I love compiling a keyword list. I find it very therapeutic, but you don't need keywords or creatives to run Google Shopping campaigns, because Google will pull the data from the feed you provide, and they'll match your product titles against search queries, and then they'll just show your pictures as your advert, and that's it. So I suggest them to start with, because they're a really good place to begin. And what you can do is, once you've got that data from the shopping campaigns, you can break the shopping campaigns down a bit more, and you can use those to fuel your search strategy. So if you've got a particular product that works really well through search, you might want to prioritize that as a search campaign. So we're going to go on a little bit of a story here. So the other reasons that I really like Google Shopping, and here's the first cat, is because you basically target people near the bottom of the search funnel. So this image here is me having a bit of a brainwave. So I have started doing spin inside since lockdown, because, well, I've got nothing else to do. And my spin shoes didn't fit me particularly well. My feet were swelling up. It was a whole horrible mess. It stopped me from going on the bike. So I decided that I wanted some new spin shoes. So I did all my research. I looked at the best spin shoes. I asked my friends. And my conclusion was I wanted a pair of Nike Super Rep cycle shoes. These are them there. They're very pretty. And I wanted them in baby pink, because yellow wasn't available. So what I did when I came to buy my shoes was I put Nike Super Rep Cycle Baby Pink into Google, and Google very helpfully gave me these responses. So what you can see here is I've got 7 different places that I can buy the shoes from, and the prices range from £94.50 to £106.70. I bought my Nike Super Rep Baby Pink shoes from a Google Shopping advert after I'd done my research. So you're capturing people further down the funnel and people who are more likely to convert. So the other reason is, this is my search again. We're at the top of the SERPs. We're at the top of the search engine results page because that's how Google have formatted, because they get the most clicks. That's where Google have put the shopping results. So it's one of the only ways to get right at the top of the search engine results page. And you can see below, you've got your paid adverts, and then below that you've got your organic listing as well. And the other reason that I particularly like them is that it's showing people rather than telling people. So what you can see here is I've decided what shoe I'm going to buy. I'm spending the best part of £100 on those shoes. I kind of want to see what they're going to look like. And that's why I've clicked on a Google Shopping advert. In fact, the second advert down for JD Sports is actually telling me about Nike baby clothes. But that third advert down is trying to sell me the Super Rep Cycle. But it's kind of only just telling me that they're adaptable and they're compatible with SPD and Delta cleats. Not particularly informative, unlike the Google Shopping advert. So for people who like to click on things and see the pictures of things, and you can even do like 360s these days, it helps to be able to show them rather than just tell them about the product. So how do you get started? Now, if you're in the European Economic Area, in order to run Google Shopping campaigns, you need to be partnered with a Google Shopping partner. The most popular of these is Google Shopping themselves, but there are other ones available, such as the company I work for, RedBrain, who will run these campaigns on your behalf. And there's plenty of others out there that will do it. So basically, you pay them commission based on the sales they generate for you, and it's a bit more risk-free. But if you want to run them yourself, you can partner with somebody like the Google Shopping Comparison CSS, and you'll be able to run the shopping campaigns for yourself. And I presume if you're listening to this, you're probably more interested in running them yourselves. You'll need a Google Ads account and a Google Merchant Center account, and the two will need to be linked. And you're going to need a product feed. So the first thing, I'm going to talk about your product feed because this is really the key part of your Google Shopping campaign. So this is what fuels what keywords you're going to be appearing on. It's going to show people what pictures they're going to see, and Google have made this very they're very direct on what they want you to be providing. The requirements are all listed out on a link that you can see in here, but there's basically 9 things that you need to include every time on your data feed. So you need to have a unique identifier. You need to have a title, and that title needs to be a clear representation of what people are going to be landing on once they get onto your website. A description, a link, so Google know what page they're sending people to on your site. An image link, because it needs the image, because that's what forms the advert. Availability, price, brand, GTIN, so global identifier number or manufacturer part number, and a shipping cost. There are some other requirements based on vertical and location. So if you're selling clothes, for example, they actually suggest you provide things like size, gender, color. For some locations, you need to provide a little bit more information. So like if you're in the USA, you need to provide tax information in there as well. But those are the basic requirements for any Google Shopping feed, and mostly they'll work across Microsoft Shopping campaigns as well. The 3 most important ones in there are your title, your brand, and your GTIN or manufacturer part number, because that's how Google determine whether the item you're selling is a valid item. So take those Nike Super Reps, for example, they will say the brand on those will be Nike, and then they'll have the product barcode alongside them. So Google know that what you're trying to sell is a Nike Super Rep cycle shoe. If you sell products that don't have any of these, there are like tags you can press to say that they don't have a barcode. So it might be that I've been working on a spice client, for example. They sell their own spices. They don't have barcodes, so we just provide a manufacturer part number for those, and we say that it doesn't have a GTIN. And those product feeds can be created using on-site schema. If you're using something like Shopify or WooCommerce, you can use apps to build them in WordPress, or an extension or a tool, or you can get a developer to create them for you. And if you've got a particularly small inventory, you can even manage these just using Google Sheets. So once you've got your feed and that's gone into the Google Merchant Center, what you need to do is just configure your shipping information in the Merchant Center. And once that's attached to your Google Ads account, all you need to do is set up your campaign. And we're going to talk just about setting up basically a standard shopping campaign here. So you go into Google Ads, you press Add Campaign, and you select a shopping campaign. Here you check that you are attached to the right merchant center, and you select the country where the products are sold. So for example, this is Afro Drops. They sell Afro hair care products, and they're based in the UK. So we want to focus on people in the UK. So we have selected the United Kingdom, and we're going to set up a standard shopping campaign here. So you'll see there is an option to do a smart shopping campaign. This is a feature from Google. So what this lets you do is show your products across search, across the search network, across the display network, across YouTube, and across Gmail. As it says, they take priority over standard shopping and display remarketing campaigns. But what Google do here is they hide some of the information from you. So whereas with a standard shopping campaign, you can see what keywords have triggered your adverts. You wouldn't be able to see that in a smart shopping campaign. You wouldn't be able to put bid adjustments in place based on what device they're working on or what their location is. And the other things you do in your campaign settings is set your bidding strategy. I've just gone for manual PPC with enhanced CPC, so I'm optimizing for conversions, because at the minute we don't really have enough information to be using any of the automated bidding strategies, and we've put a budget. I would typically suggest around about £10 a day to try these out and just get enough traction to get enough data to be able to work out whether these are working for you and how you can improve on them going forward. And what I've done here is I've switched off search partners, and I've switched off YouTube, Gmail, and Discover just whilst we're doing the learning phase. We're targeting all devices, and we've got it set to the United Kingdom. Once we've created our campaign, we need to create our ad group. And again, we're just going to go for the basic shopping ad type, which is just a product shopping advert, which is like the ones where you saw when I searched for the Nike Super Rep, lots of different single adverts came up. There is a feature to do showcase shopping, which lets you target keywords that is slightly higher up the funnel. So if you did a search for women's jeans, you might see all the women's jeans from New Look show up in a single advert, and that's called a showcase shopping advert. You just give your ad group a name, and then you put in how much you're prepared to pay, the maximum you're prepared to pay for a click. And then you create your product group. So you can basically split your feed as many times as you like. Typically, just whilst you're getting started, I suggest just doing all products. And that basically means that you're prepared to pay exactly the same for all of the products in your feed. So maybe like 10 pence per click. But what you might find is you've got certain products you want to exclude from there, or certain products that you'd like to bid more on. So what you can do is you can break this down by basically by any of the information you've provided in the feed. So you could break them down by product type, you can break them down by brand, you can even break them down by individual product line, and then you can see exactly which products are getting search visibility. So some top tips from me: your product title is the most important part of your feed. It's the most important part of a Google shopping campaign, because that's what Google use to match your product against the query that's being put into Google. So I always find it best to think like a customer here. So if you're selling a product online, so take Nike, for example, and those super rep shoes, they might actually have them listed on their site as super reps, well, super rep cycle. But the keyword there is probably Nike, or if somebody's doing a search for Nike cycle shoes, you want those to come up. So you need to include the word Nike at the beginning of your, in your product title, because that's what's going to match up. If you're just sending that to the feed, to the merchant center as a super rep cycle shoe, there is a chance that it won't come up. So think like a customer and make changes to this. Make it so that that item that shows up, there's not a whole lot of space there, but make sure the important keywords, the keywords you want to be showing for, are at the front of those product titles to make sure that you're getting visibility on the keywords you want to. We haven't really gone into the Merchant Center too much, but the diagnostics tab in the Google Merchant Center is the most important page in there. So what this does is Google don't want to stop you from running, but in here they'll give you all the reasons why your adverts aren't running, or reasons why they're not performing as well as they could be. So it might be that you're missing a DUTIN, it might be that you're selling clothes and you've not got size, gender and color in there. So pay attention to it, and they'll also give you alerts in there. So if you've got things that are against policy, so just pay attention to it and see what's happening. I always find it helpful to go in there about once a week just to see what's happening. So I've got a few clients at the minute who've got like policy issues in there because the words are similar to other words that they shouldn't be advertising on, or there's something just dropped out of the feed and all of a sudden their performance has taken a bit of a nosedive. The other thing here is keep it simple and optimize once you have initial data. So this is about how you break down your shopping campaigns. So I always suggest just starting out with having one campaign, one ad group, one product group that's targeting all products, and you can actually see in Google how the products are performing, even if they're all in a single ad group and product group. And then you can break that out as you've got more data. So it might be that you've got some products that are higher margin than others, and you can put a custom label in place to target those with a higher bid, or actually you've got products that are completely making you a loss on Google. So again, you can put a custom label in place and exclude and stop bidding on those products altogether. And my final suggestion is to take full advantages of surfaces across Google. So when I first started out in Google Ads, there was a product called Frugal, which were free product listing adverts. And Google have recently returned these. And it's called Surfaces Across Google. And what you can do when you set up your Merchant Center is in one of your Google Merchant Center accounts is you can opt in to use Surfaces Across Google. And it's basically free shopping traffic. So your adverts will show, your products will show up a bit like the adverts, but they'll be free and you won't be charged for those. And we're seeing it account for about 2 to 8% of shopping traffic at the minute. So it's a good way to get some free traffic to your site. So thank you. If you've got any questions, shout. And you can find me on Twitter at Sarah Scarfe, MKTG.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. And we have lots of questions already. I will start with Jared's question because it was the first in, and he hopes that your baby pink cycling shoes were bought after clicking on a cool RedBrain advert. I think you just need to say yes to that question.
Jared's my boss, so yes, Jared, I absolutely bought I bought my shoes through the RedBrain advert.
It's why you applied for the job, actually, at RedBrain. The advert was.
Yes.
Okay. Next question. So where can you start learning about Google Merchant Center?
So the Google support documentations are really helpful for learning about the Google Merchant Center. So there's not a whole lot in the merchant center, so mostly it's just your products and your basically what issues you're having with your products. But there are some like additional reports in there. So, for example, they've just bought out a price competitive one that tells you how competitively priced your products are against other people who are competing in the search space. But the support documentation is really handy. I always find that when new features are launched, there's always quite a lot of blog posts about it as well. Shameless plug, but I have one pending on some of the new reporting that's just come out in the Google Merchant Center. But the support documentation, Google also sometimes do YouTube videos about the new features of the Merchant Center as well. So definitely the Google support documentation is usually where I start, and then I go from there.
Okay, cool. And a couple of people have upvoted the question. What are the benefits of using a third party such as RedBrain?
So, like I said, you need to work with a comparison shopping partner if you want to run Google Shopping ads in the European Economic Area. And there's quite a lot of CSSs out there. So obviously I work for RedBrain, so I know that. So it's on my T-shirt. It's beautiful. But then so it kind of depends on what you want from a CSS. So some CSSs will just let you upload your products into their merchant center and let you run the campaigns for yourself as if you were doing it through Google Ads all by yourself. So CSS, so RedBrain, we actually shoulder all the risk. So we actually only ever get paid when we generate you a sale. So we're basically an affiliate partner, and we will so we don't charge you per click. You literally only get charged when somebody has made an order through your website and that order has been fulfilled as well. So say, for example, those shoes that I bought, I don't think it was through Nike, but those shoes that I bought, if we had 5% commission on those, RedBrain would get paid £5 for that sale.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. Okay, next question. Do you know any good plugins to create a product feed for Google Shopping on WooCommerce?
I know so many. I've worked with a number of apps that do Google Shopping, product feeds. So my two favorite for WooCommerce are the Product Feed Pro and Google Feed Manager. I can provide links for both of those if you want them. But I would always suggest just having a look, see what plugins are available through WordPress, and having a read of the reviews, see what works for your size of company and the size of your catalog as well. Because if you've got thousands and thousands of products, don't do it through a Google Sheet.
Sure. Top tip. Awesome. Okay, and do you have any decent stats on free versus paid traffic? Since Shopping Now also shows sometimes free listings.
Yep. So obviously it's fairly new to the UK, but some of my PPC colleagues in the States, they were seeing between 2 and 8% of their shopping traffic coming through surfaces for Google. So it's growing, and I think people are really taking advantage, because not many people are taking advantage of it at the minute. It's probably going to be higher until more people start to take advantage of it.
Okay. Does Google favour the manufacturer sites when displaying shopping ads?
So not really. So Google, obviously, their pay-per-click campaigns, Google favour whoever they're going to get paid the most from. But because of the CSS model, so say those Nike shoes, for example, I'm just going to go back to that example because that was the one. That's the one I've used it for the most. So Sports Direct could have had all 7 of those spaces on Google Shopping, but Google would only ever get paid however much the lowest bid was. So they don't really favour the favor the manufacturer. I do tend to find that the manufacturer sites do really well for search, but it tends to be whoever's got the best data feed. So that the most content-rich product titles that Google tend to favor. So if I did, so this search that I did Nike Super Rep Cycle Baby Pink. If I search for size, this WIT Fitness one would probably have come up higher because they actually feature their product size in their product title.
Yeah, cool. Okay. How do you research your competitors for Google Shopping ads?
So Google offer so for search, they offer the Auction Insights Analysis Report. That's also available for shopping campaigns, so you can see who you're competing against in the search space. So you can see who's getting more impressions than you. What you can't tend to see is what sort of positions. They don't tend to show position data for shopping, but you can see who's competing against you and how often you overlap. And if you have enough data as well, you tend to see the price competitiveness information as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Any tool, are there any tools that track shopping results both in the general SERPs and in the shopping tab?
Ooh, good question. So I've not found any that do it, and so obviously one of the things that I've found is obviously you can measure your shopping campaigns through Google Analytics and through Google Ads. But I was reading a really interesting article by Kirk Williams last week because there's no way to track these surfaces across Google clicks. So what he suggested doing, and again, I can absolutely share this article for anybody who's interested, is he said basically the regular UTM parameters on the items in the Google Merchant Center, and also have auto tagging on Google Ads. And then what will happen is when somebody clicks on your Google Surfaces advert or listing, that will come through to analytics as surfaces across Google. And when somebody clicks on an advert, that will come through as whatever your Google shopping campaign is called. And then you'd be able to see what they look, so see how they're performing against each other, and just give you a rough idea of what you're getting from surfaces, rather than it just showing up as organic Google traffic. I'll share that article. It's a really good read, and I've got somebody trialing it at the minute. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, that'd be wicked. Yeah, send it over, so we can share that in the email. We'll send that afterwards. Do you want to do a final question or two?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that we just have 15 minutes left, so we can do another question, and then we'll send everyone back to the floor. But I just also want to say a big thank you to Sarah and Nikki for giving up their time. And Nikki, as some of you may know, he works as an SEO manager at Blue Array, and they have their own meetup that they call Remote SEO Meetup, which is on last weekend every month as well. So it was some nights, and they're doing, I hope, another meetup next month. So feel free to drop it in the chat, Nikki. And I will see some of you at the tables. And if we run out of time to answer those questions, I don't know if you can see them, Sarah, perhaps you can also answer them over Twitter.
Yep, I have copied and pasted, I've taken a screen grab of them.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'll pass over to Tim, and I'll see some of you at the tables for a few drinks.
Cheers, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just sit through the last few questions. So any views on Microsoft Shopping? Is it worth the extra effort over Google?
Absolutely. Nobody, hardly anybody, is doing Microsoft shopping campaigns, so it's definitely worth the effort. The one thing I will say is the Merchant Center feature in Microsoft isn't as good as it is in isn't as good as it is in Google. So in Google, you can make feed rules and rules to basically manipulate your product titles and put items out of stock. There's no functionality to do that in Microsoft, so you have to basically make sure your feed's right before you send it to the Merchant Center.
Okay. Are there any tools for visually previewing shopping feeds, items as ads?
Good question. I personally have never seen one, but I'm going to go and have a look, see if I can find one, because I don't think I've ever seen one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are there any similar verticals for China?
Another excellent question. Sean is trying to catch me out here. Again, I will take that one away and look at it because, again, obviously Google doesn't run in China, and I don't think Microsoft's campaigns go that far either. So I will take that question away and answer it on Twitter.
Awesome. There's a question from Yogi, which I think you sort of answered the number of people now using Google Shopping. Last time we went into the tab, it was called Frugal.
No idea on the numbers, but I think more people use it than realize. I think, obviously, I haven't even gone into the Google Shopping tab there, but I'm clicking on shopping adverts. So I think more people use it than think they use it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Then last few questions. As mentioned, Google's brought back free listings. What's the opportunity here for businesses?
Free traffic, love it. I've never worked in SEO, but I understand the benefits of free traffic. I understand that paid can be quite expensive and it's not always viable for some businesses. So it's free traffic, and all you need to do, so you can have a Google Merchant Center account that's just for surfaces. You don't need to have run shopping ads through it. So you can just set up your feed and just use it for surfaces. So free traffic, yay.
Yeah,
I'm on board with that.
Is there anything people should be aware of or careful with Shopify?
I'll talk to months after. Is it months? Afterwards, yeah, because yeah. I'm not. I kind of understand the question. I can't think of anything that would be a particular issue. The main things to be aware of with any shopping campaign is how often you're updating that feed, because if you're changing prices but you're only every day, but you're only updating the feed once a week, Google will shout at you because there's a mismatch, and just about keeping it up to date, like availability. So like we were talking on the tables before, toilet roll. At the beginning of first lockdown, people had stock of toilet roll. It was on their feeds, but then it was going out of stock. But the adverts kept serving, and it got really expensive. So I would just say making sure that feed is always as up to date as it possibly can be, whether that's you sending it every 24 hours, or if you know your prices and availability isn't that volatile, maybe doing it like every 72 hours or something like that. But make sure you update your feed at least once every 30 days, because otherwise Google will just expire all your products.
Okay, last two questions.
Yes.
So Microsoft Shopping again. So how do you go about getting it set up?
So it's actually easier to do Microsoft Shopping campaigns because you don't need to have a CSS partner. So all you need to do there is have your feed, and it can be pretty much the same feed as you're using for Google Shopping, and a Microsoft Ads account, and away you go. The setup's pretty much exactly the same. They don't have showcase shopping adverts, and last time I checked, they didn't have smart shopping campaigns either. So actually it's a little bit easier to set them up on Microsoft, but obviously the traffic volumes will be lower.
Sure, okay. Cool, and last question of the night from Yogi. Do the number of reviews, positive reviews and price affect the ranking of the organic listings?
I'm going to go with no. Again, I don't. My cat's trying to catch fire to herself. She's like in my candle. So I don't think they do. Again, I think the main thing that has an effect on the ranking of your listings is how close your product title is and how relevant your product title is for that search query. So no, I don't think they do, but they do have an impact on how often people are going to click through. So I might be more tempted to click on the sportsshoes.com one there because I can see they've got 72 reviews and 4.5 stars. Or I might click on the Pro Tennis because for some reason they're selling them for £10 cheaper than everybody else. So they will have an impact on customers, like how often a customer is going to click through, but not necessarily on how Google's going to rank them on this carousel.
Awesome. Right, fantastic. That is all of the questions. Thanks for plowing through them all. And I think we're going to move back to the tables now for the last part of the session, for a bit of networking. I think Joe's going to pull us off into the table. Is there anything else you want to?
No, that was all. Joe? Thank you very much, Sarah and Nikki, for giving up your time. And Nikki's next event is December the 16th. So do join them at 2 p.m. Do Links Matter in 2021. And thank you very much, Sarah, joining us from RedBrain. Loads of great tips there. So we have a few minutes to do a bit more networking at the tables. And we will see you very soon. Hopefully we can squeeze in another one before Christmas, but we'll just wait and see.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Sarah. And
thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
See you.
Thanks, guys.